Hey folks, welcome once again to another episode of There's Just Something About Kansas City. I'm your host, Frank Boal.
No, you don't. Yes, what? Today, it's my turn.
Oh boy.
There's Just Something About Kansas City is brought to you by the generosity of our friends with the Haverty family, the Sherman family, the Cockrell family, and Don and Mary Doherty. Thank you. Okay, here we are.
Oh boy.
We had the suggestion a couple months ago that we'd like to see the tables turned, and our listeners wanted to know a little more about you.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
I'm being brought to this table kicking and screaming, very reluctant here, yes.
Trust me, I didn't go to broadcasting school, so I understand. And
Well,
I'm
neither
not...
did I. Go figure.
I'm Sarah McEnerney-Boal, and today we've got the pleasure of introducing my husband, Frank Boal. And he has been a staple of sports in Kansas City for years and years. And now we get to turn the tables and find out a little more about him.
Oh boy. This was not my idea, folks, believe me.
Well, I think we've got a lot of questions that have been sent in. In fact, I'm looking at quite a few of them. And yeah, you've been telling sports stories in Kansas City for decades and decades. And now we get to ask you a few questions.
Okay, well, here I am.
Okay, buckle up.
I'm ready.
All right, so...
Can I plead the fifth on any of this? Okay, go ahead.
There's nothing to plead yet.
No, not yet.
Just save that to the end.
It's coming. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, you were born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not Pittsburgh, Kansas.
No, you always have to say that in this part of the country because everybody thinks it's Pittsburgh, Kansas. But yep, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, born and raised. 3 siblings, all older, so I was the youngest by 5.5 years. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking about that, my parents had 2 girls and a boy, and I think they were perfectly content. And then along came Frank. That's right.
No, you don't.
Exactly. But really, it was idyllic where we lived. We had a 555-acre park in our backyard. It was Frick Park. I lived on a dead-end street. Name of the street was Ben-Hur, as in the movie, but that's a story in its own right. It wasn't named after a movie. It was named after a tugboat on the Monongahela River.
I've always wanted to know, first off, how did you get the nickname Pudge?
Oh, boy.
Because I think that came early, right?
Yeah. It came the day I was born. I was 10 pounds, I think, right at the 10-pound mark. And my dad said to my mom, as she was recovering from the birth, he said, "Oh boy, he's pudgy," and
it stuck.
It stuck my entire life. In fact, still to this day.
Football, everything.
Yeah, everything. It stuck. It stuck through school too. In fact, I used to sometimes write in my papers, especially in high school, Pudgy Boal instead of Frank. In fact, my parents in grade school, my mom, my full name is Frances Reed Boal. And my mom...
I'm sure that they thought you were going to grow up to be a priest.
No, I think they probably did, right? Being a Catholic and all that, yeah. But my mom wanted me, when I went to grade school, my name was Reed Boal. R-E-E-D, Reed Boal. That's my middle name. She wanted me to go by Reed. She wanted me to go by Francis or Frank or Frankie. She wanted me to go Reed Boal. Okay. And I did it all through grade school until I think we were in the 6th or 7th grade. And one of the teachers, we had, St. Joseph nuns. One of the teachers said, Reed, and the entire class broke up. And I told myself at that point, this is not going past grade school. Working. I am going to change. I'm going to change my own name in high school, whether I go to Pudgy or Frankie or whatever it is. I'm going to use my other name because Reed, I'm not keeping Reed. But actually, it was a pretty cool. As Reed Boal, that's a good name.
I think it's
Pudgy,
great.
Not so much.
We don't know too many Pudgy Boals.
No, you do not.
So you're not going to get mixed up with anyone.
No.
So there you go.
Thank goodness.
Now,
in their sake.
Always played sports, didn't you?
Yeah, I played from a very young age. There was little league baseball, and I even played basketball, swam, did all kinds of stuff when I was really young, and then
you were a little guy though.
Yeah, I wasn't very big ever.
Because your mom didn't want you to play sports,
No, she didn't. Yeah. And then when 6th grade hit, I wanted to go out for the football team. And all my friends were going out. In those days, it wasn't you had a 6th grade team and a 7th grade team and 8th grade team. everybody played on the grade school football team. So sixth graders were playing with the eighth graders. So you can imagine it was a little strange. Those guys are shaving, and some of us are still in diapers. So, but the deal was, she did not want me to play. In fact, she sort of told me, "You're not going to play," and that was going to be that. But
that was the death knell.
Yeah, I said, "Really? I'll show you." So all my friends wanted me to come out and play football with them, and I wanted to go out. So, I went and practiced every day with the football team, and actually played football. When practice was over, we were down at a little public grade school in our neighborhood called Sterrett School, and we were done practicing. I had another set of clothes that I had worn down to practice. I put on my football uniform, practiced football, took my uniform off over in a corner in the bushes at the school, and put my other clothes on, and then went home. And one of my friends' moms did my football laundry for 2 years before my parents ever knew I played.
Got away with that for 2
full years.
full years.
Mm-hmm. They just thought, in those days, though, we all went out after school, and we played sports until dinner time.
Yeah,
So now I was just going down and playing a sport until dinner time.
Right.
Just happened to
She
be
never knew.
something my mom didn't want me to do. So, just one of those things.
So
But,
she eventually did find out.
yeah, she found out finally. I think one of the other mothers.
You weren't just overly skilled at this sport that you had been actually playing for 2 years.
No, right, exactly. So she found out. And she said, "Okay, you've been playing for 2 years without our permission, but since you wanted it that badly, you can go on back and play in eighth grade." And I did. And thank goodness that I did. So it was because the game of football in my life probably steered my entire life to a certain point, and everything sort of worked out. So
I was just going to say, because I think that you've spoken very highly about a lot of your coaches along the line and how instrumental they've been in your life and the lessons they've taught you. And,
sure, absolutely. Yeah. Even my friends, and playing in a team sport too. I think that was a big deal. Having to work in within the group, and the coaches were great. And the game, I love the game of football. It's not for everybody. There's a lot of practice involved and very few games, and practices are hard, and there's a lot of physicality to the game. But that was everything right at my eye. I just loved those sort of things, and I gravitated towards that game. I think, we were playing in those games. I think only 2 or 3 of us from my entire grade school football team that graduated in that eighth grade, I think, went out for our high school team at Central Catholic. And within 2 days, I was the only one left from St. Bede grade school. I know
that you are so dedicated to your sports that you tell me about prom and how prom and
well, that
dance
was high school. Okay, jeez, I didn't go to prom in the eighth grade.
Well,
okay, that was track and field. So I played football and ran track in high school.
Kind of rolled your sports.
Yeah, at Central Catholic, and during the spring we were running track, and there were a lot of end of semester, getting towards the end of the school year. You had a lot of state track meets, local, regional, and state track meets, and they just happened to fall on weekends. You'd be going to some place like Harrisburg, which is in the middle of the state of Pennsylvania. Right. We used to go to Cleveland, Ohio, and run. So there were times where you didn't have much of a social life. Yeah. And I did not go to my junior or senior prom in high school because I had track meets the next day. Yeah. So it's crazy, I
think, and then you went to Central High School.
Yeah, I went to Central Catholic High School in Pittsburgh. Has a tremendous reputation, athletics and academics.
You weren't the only famous person that went to
No, there were a few. Dan Marino was one, the famous quarterback for the Miami Dolphins and Hall of Famer. And he went there as well. And so it was a fun run. And
got a pretty great team too.
Yeah, we had a really good team our senior year. I think it really started happening in our sophomore year in high school under Marty Apostolico, who was our head coach. He started a lot of sophomores, and I think we ended up going 4-5-1. And when you are at an all-male high school, it's a lot like Rockhurst here in Kansas City. We had Christian Brothers. They had the Jesuits at Rockhurst, but we had Christian Brothers there at Central, and very disciplined, very academically oriented, And
told me those stories too.
yeah,
so,
yeah, I've got a few of those stories for you if you want. But it was incredible. We went 4-5-1. Coach caught a lot of grief for going 4-5-1 in a school like that. We had 1,500 all male. Okay, so there's no excuses. Next year we went 7-3. Wow. We lost the game early, won about 6 straight, and then we lost our last 2 games of the season. One of the games we lost was to our biggest rival, North Catholic High School. We had one of our punts was blocked out of the end zone, and they had a safety, and that was the only score of the entire game. Next year we came back and beat them 54-6. But that's another story. But we rubbed it in a little bit. But but then my senior year, we were an undefeated football team, and we finished 10-0. Catholic schools back in those days were not eligible to play in the state playoffs.
Oh, wow.
So we just finished 10-0. We finished as rated number 1 team in the state of Pennsylvania my senior year. So.
And I think that was a little project that you worked on, and and you said that you spent quite a bit of time on this. This was a book that you had written.
Yeah, for 2 years.
Yeah,
Took
2
me
years.
to write that.
And this was. Why don't you talk a little bit about this? I think this is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Remember, my mom did not want me to play football, but they were even when I went to college. We'll probably talk about that as well. But they saved. Unbeknownst to me, they saved every article they could find in the Pittsburgh papers. If we played in a place like McKeesport, which is out of town, or Aliquippa, which is out of town, my dad would write to the editor of the paper, ask for a paper, and send a self-addressed stamped envelope, big envelope, to the paper and say, please send me your paper from...
No, wait. These were your parents that supposedly they had forgotten about you, and that you were left behind.
Absolutely,
and nobody thought about. Oh,
they treated me terribly.
Just want to make that clear.
They were absolutely wonderful. They saved all the articles for both high school and college, which unbeknownst to me. And when I graduated from college, they gave me all those articles. I put them together in a scrapbook, 2 scrapbooks, as a matter of fact, and. One of those scrapbooks turned into this. It's about our high school football team that went undefeated. We were the first undefeated untied team in school history, in Central history. And that's just a bunch of Jaguars.
Hold on. There you go. The original title.
I wanted to call this book A Bunch of Jagoffs. And if you're in Pittsburgh, you understand
I'm sorry if that is
what that means, okay?
Out there,
it just means you're a jerk, okay? That's all. I'll leave it at that.
It's a nice... Yeah, it's not so bad.
No, it's okay. But but I wanted to call it A Bunch of Jagoffs, and I was going to call it that and put it here. But I went to my high school and I said, I want to be able to, once I break even on this book, if I break even, I will give the rest of the books to you, and you can put any price tag you want on it. Sell them at the school bookstore and make some money back for the school. Yeah. Well, the principal at the time said, we'd love to do that, but we can't sell it under that title, A Bunch of Jagoffs. So I just
Not everybody knows that endearing term.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So I just called it a memoir. And you even got the Frank Pudgy Bowl at the bottom, because nobody back there, none of those guys knew me as Frank. It was Pudgy.
And you still keep in touch with Coach Appy.
I keep in touch with Coach
App.
A
lot of your friends.
And he's still alive at 94, 95 years old. God bless him. And I try to stay in touch with any of my friends who are still with us. There are a lot of them that have passed. Yeah. But I keep in touch with especially Chucky Hammer and Mark DiGiozzo, are 2 of my closest friends to this day, who were even back
then. They're in that picture too.
They're in there. Yep. Mark's right there. And Chucky's right there, and I am nowhere to be seen in that picture.
Very modest in those pictures.
Yes.
You don't talk too much about yourself, but I really do. The thing that I love about this that you have written is it includes the times and things that were going on in the world.
Yes, right.
That you were experiencing, because I think that you did grow up in a really
tumultuous time.
Yeah. There was a lot of things going on that a lot of people wouldn't understand these days. I know you've told me about the things that were going on with race and everything else, and you guys just wanted to play football.
Yeah, that's all we wanted to do then.
I didn't understand it, but there was a war going on too.
Yeah, there was. The Vietnam War was going on, especially college. That'll hit more than it did at high school, because if you were going to go to college, basically you were you weren't going to go to the war.
Right.
That's why a lot of guys went who might have not even wanted to go to college or
Yeah.
whatever, maybe just gone to work in the steel mills in Pittsburgh, which a lot of guys did. And a lot of their fathers, a lot of the guys in this picture, a lot of their fathers were steel workers. And we were a pretty
So what took you?
we're a pretty wild group of guys.
I was going
I'll
to say,
tell you.
I've heard those stories, and they cannot be told
They
anywhere.
can't?
Not even on a
Can't
podcast.
tell any of them?
No.
Doggone it.
There's a lot that you could, but
You mean the times we'd go to Forbes Field when the Pirates were playing and people would
see,
keep...
these are the things that I kind of cringe at. But
People-
if you want to tell them,
Sure.
you go right ahead.
I want to let them know what I really like, okay? People in those days used to leave their keys in their cars. Okay, they'd leave them in the glove compartment. They used to leave them on the back bumpers. They'd leave them on their tires. They'd leave them on top of their tires underneath their fender skirts.
Yes.
And, of course, we knew all that.
Of course.
So we were high school kids and we were adventurous. So
You weren't in the game.
we would no.
You were.
We would go to the Pittsburgh Pirate games. It'd be all around Forbes Field. Their cars would be parked there, and we would see if anybody had the keys left in their car. And we didn't steal their car.
No.
We just took them for joyrides. Is all we did. Drove around a
Borrowed
block,
them
brought them back,
briefly.
left them exactly where we found them, same condition we found them, a little less gas.
There we go. Yeah.
But it was that. And God forbid if you left your garage door open. Okay, don't even think about that. Okay, and we weren't taking the lawnmowers, believe
my
me.
gosh.
But if you had some
You had a
iron,
good time.
but if you had some Iron City beer or some, some
Yeah,
soda
the
pop of
Frick
some
Park
kind,
and those
Yes.
areas around where
Yes.
you grew up.
it was a wonderful.
Yeah,
it was a really good childhood.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. That's
we were
what you've said.
mischievous. Put
Little
it
bit.
that way. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
Got to be careful because the parish hall was named after your parents.
Yeah, I know it was.
So
Yes.
you couldn't get into too much trouble because that wouldn't have looked good to
No.
everyone in the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
you're right. God bless them. Both of them. I don't know how they put up with me, but they did. Because my two sisters and brother, they were great.
And they
were
still are.
And
they still
are just terrific.
You're the
yeah.
youngest of 4 kids right now, and
Yep.
and everybody is still, God love them. They're doing fantastic. We
Yeah.
saw them a couple of years ago, and Mary Ellen is up in Boston, and Kathleen and Jack are down in Pensacola, and then
My brother's on St. Simon's Island, Georgia, with Margaret.
Margaret,
and
yep.
So they're still alive and kicking and having a really good time. They're in great shape
great
and
shape.
health. So
Wonderful.
That's good.
That's
yeah,
great.
it's
And so
wonderful,
what propelled you to Villanova?
Well, the deal was, so we go through an undefeated football season. We have 16 seniors on the team. And by end of February, beginning of March, 15 of those seniors, even some who had not started for us, had a scholarship somewhere, except for me. Not everybody wanted a 5'8", 140-pound running back. Okay,
Little
so it was different. But lo and behold, one of my friends at school, his sister dated a man named Paul Laughlin. God love him. He graduated from Villanova Law School, so he found out through the grapevine, Villanova, they asked him, they said, hey, do you know any guys out there in Pittsburgh, some kids? We're looking for a running back. Is there anybody that you've seen play or whatever? Because the Alumni Association knew he'd
Right.
gone to our games.
Right.
Everybody wanted Ron Markowski, Gunno.
Gunno.
He was a terrific athlete. He was first team All-State in football, basketball, and baseball. And everybody in the country wanted. We saw every major college in the country. And so he said, I've got a running back there that is looking to go somewhere. And they said, you mean Ron Markowski? They said, no, Pudgy Bowl. And of course he said that, and you just go.
Right.
The coach at
Pudgy.
Villanova, who was Alex Bell, would just be like, oh my God, can this kid run or whatever? So long story short, I visited Villanova, went on a recruiting weekend, and there were just 2 of us there, me and another guy. And they had 1 scholarship left, and they were looking for a running back. Well, I'm in there at 5'8", 145 pounds. He's 6 feet, 185, and just looks like he could have played linebacker. So I'm thinking, there's no way, but I'm just going to have a good time this weekend. We partied with the team, did all the things you do on recruiting weekends, which was a lot of fun. But so we go in Sunday morning to see the head coach, and they call him in first. And of course, he's going to end up signing the scholarship, and I'm done. And he's in there for about 15 minutes, and comes out. And I looked at him. I'm looking for any sign at all. I said, hey, what? What's the deal? He goes, hey, it was really nice meeting you this weekend. Good luck, and I'll see you. And he walks out the door. And I'm going, he just didn't want to say anything. I think it was going to hurt my feelings. I
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I hear this high, squeaky voice as our head coach, Alex Bell. Great guy. I hear his voice. He goes, "Is Frankie Boal out there?" And I go, "Yeah, Coach, I'm coming. So I walk in the door, and he goes, "Frankie, how would you like to be a Villanova Wildcat?" And I went, "Whoa!" So the funny part about it, the other player who was there, I wish I could remember his name, but I can't. He ended up going to Navy. His dad had gone to Navy, played football at Navy, so he had decided to go to Navy, but he wanted to come up and visit Villanova first to make sure. And he decided to go to Navy. And it's funny because the next year, that year I became a freshman, we played Navy, so I played against them. And Roger Staubach, the Hall of Fame quarterback, was Navy's head coach, was Navy's coach because he had to serve after he served in the military. Or after he went to Naval Academy, he had to give them 5 years back. So it was, he was still there.
Well, I know you did get into several other colleges too.
Well, I get into some schools. Yeah. Well, that story is still a little heartbreaking story from my mother. But yeah, I then applied to other schools to go to. And
what were some of the other schools that you got into?
I get into Pitt and West Virginia. I got into Toledo, University of Cincinnati, just some schools that were in that area. And then they had the state teachers colleges there in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Slippery Rock, Edinburgh State, all those schools. I had applied and gotten. Then you didn't have to pay for the application fee. Yeah. So I just applied everywhere. My parents told me, you should apply to Notre Dame. And I said, and I knew that's where they wanted me to go and do.
They traveled quite a bit to the Notre Dame game.
Their best friend was a man named Earl Brigger, and he was a lawyer, and he got his law degree from Notre Dame. Went to Notre Dame undergrad. He was a big donor. So that's part of this story. So I applied to Notre Dame, and the week before I took the trip to Villanova to go see about playing football there, I get a letter from Notre Dame, and I'm accepted at Notre Dame, right? So, and I'm wondering, I got accepted at Notre Dame?
And most kids would be like, oh,
yeah, I know. Well,
Rudy.
my mother was.
I mean, Rudy.
Rudy, don't get me started. So the deal is, my mom was, she started crying. She opened the envelope. "Oh my God, you've been accepted to Notre Dame. Oh my God, we're so happy. This is great." And so it was a foregone.
We love you now.
I know. Well, sort of. It was. They're not going to in a few minutes. So they. So the deal is, so they were extremely happy about that. And I'm wondering, how did I get in Notre Dame? I mean, my grades were fine. Okay, but I'm thinking Notre Dame. I said, I don't know. Okay, so I find out later that Earl Brigger, their friend, big donor to the school, put a letter of recommendation in for me, and I think that's how I got in and got accepted. So, but I came home, but I had the letter.
What was your way of thanking your parents?
Well, I went to Villanova for that weekend to visit anyway, and I went into the coach, and I told the coach I'm going to go home. I had to get my parents' permission and signature on a scholarship, but I'd signed it there myself. So I took it home with me. And so I get back from Villanova, and they think I'm going to Notre Dame, and they're telling everybody they know. So the deal is I get back from Villanova, and I tell them, I said, the Notre Dame thing's great, but Villanova just offered me a full football scholarship. You guys won't have to pay a dime. I won't have to pay any money.
They had already sent a fruit basket to their friend.
Yeah, Mr. Brigger, I'm sure.
Mr. Brigger, there you go.
Yeah. So I just, so I told him I want to play football. I want to go play football. And Villanova wants me there to play football. I said I could go to Notre Dame, maybe try to walk on or whatever. They got 100 scholarship kids on scholarship, and they're just, they're not going to even take a look at me. I was so small.
Yep.
So, but I said I'm going to go to Villanova. And my mom and dad from that point, even though they didn't have to pay a dime for me to go to school, my dad would slip me some money every weekend, but he'd always say, "Don't let your mom see me do this, and don't tell her I'm giving you money. Ever since you turned down Notre Dame, she didn't want me to give you one dime." I said, "Dad, I'm on full scholarship. What else can I do? I mean, my God, you don't have to pay a dime. What are you, crazy?"
Oh, my goodness.
And so, but they acquiesced, and then they went to virtually every game I ever played at Villanova.
Yeah.
So they even went to away games. They went to William and Mary, went to Boston College, went to University of Delaware, and we played Delaware. Went to Toledo and Xavier and Cincinnati, and they went to West Virginia a couple of years. So they were always my biggest boosters. But they weren't happy. My mom was not happy that I did not go to Notre Dame.
I think there have been a couple of times where you made her a little cross.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
yeah.
there
Basically
you go.
my whole life. Yeah.
But you did do very well at Villanova.
Yeah, I played okay at Villanova.
played okay?
I was fine.
Yeah.
I was fine. Yeah.
What
it was
is
good.
that? What is that sign that I have yet to see? But I know it does exist, or at least I've been
On the
told it
wall
does.
at Villanova, there was a plaque,
And what does it say?
and I made the Hall of Fame. So
Oh my goodness! So you did pretty good.
I did okay at Villanova. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder how I got in the
Well,
Hall of Fame as
congratulations,
Well,
because
thank you.
that is exceptional. And
Thank you, yeah.
yes, every time we've gone back to Villanova to take a peek at it, and you wanted to
Something's
show it to
under
me.
construction,
Something's under
something's there, yeah.
construction, and I'm like, I don't
That's
know
just
about
all
this.
big lie, right?
I don't
Yeah.
know, I'm glad
I
to
have
see
a
it.
plaque at home too that has the same plaque that's at Villanova. So
Well,
don't
I'm still
start
waiting
on
to
me.
see it. So there
So,
you go.
Yeah,
there you
well,
go.
you got the one that's at the house.
So
That's
you
all
finished
know.
up at Villanova. Did you stay? Did you what was your
Well, my
what
deal
your
was
plan?
after Villanova, the Vietnam War was raging, and I came back to Pittsburgh right after I graduated, and I went to the then head coach at Central Catholic, Joe Scully, and I said, Coach, sometime between now and December, I'm going to get called in by the draft board, and I'm going to have a physical, and I'm probably going to end up going to Vietnam. So I said, can I do something? Can I stick around and do something with Central Catholic football? I'd like to sort of stay in it. Thinking about coaching in the back of my mind maybe someday. But for right now, it's going to be very up in the air.
But no solid career.
No,
because
right,
A lot of
well-
your friends were going to Wall Street. And
Yeah, sure.
moving
Well,
on
I was a
that
finance
way.
major
Yeah.
at Villanova, and all my friends up at Wall Street.
Yeah.
My roommate ended up at IBM. I had two guys at Xerox. We had a lot of guys go up on Wall Street with all the investment firms. They had a Villanova financial club on Wall Street where all those guys were, and they were all doing great. They were killing it up there. But there's just something there was just something about it it just didn't click with me for some reason. So I went to Joe and I said, hey, so I coached the freshman team that year. And in October of '69, I get the dreaded envelope from the Selective Service Board. And they said, come in for your physical. I think the day was October 10th. And I went in, took my physical. But when I played football at at Villanova, I had a couple concussions.
Yeah.
And I spent like 3 days my freshman year in the infirmary and hospital with a major concussion, one that really knocked me for a loop for a while. So back in those days, they didn't know things about CT or anything.
Right,
Give you some smelling salts. I said, get back in the game. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
In fact, I had my coach come to me 2 days in a row where I couldn't even open the blinds in the room. And he goes, what are you doing? You just laying around being like, well, come on, will you? What's wrong? Take
Let's go.
Take a couple aspirin and see me. That's before ibuprofen and Tylenol. Here, take a couple aspirin and see me. Get out to the practice field. So
There you go.
eventually
Things have
I got
changed a
back
bit.
and I ended up playing.
Yeah,
So the deal was, I have a medical form that chronicles everything that happened. When I got done, I'd passed the physical, obviously, and I gave it. There was a 3-person board there. There were 2 women and a man. I gave it to them, and I said I had some concussions playing college football, and they looked at it and they're looking at you real skeptical, like you're feeling guilty for some reason, and
Your
so
coach
they
told
say,
you.
yeah. So they say, okay, here's the deal. We're going to reclassify you 4F, which means you can't serve, but we're going to review this and we'll get back to you. Okay. So a couple months later in December, right around just before Christmas time, I get a envelope back from the Selective Service, and they said we have reclassified you 1A, which means now you can serve. But they didn't call me in for a physical in December. Then in January, they had the lottery system for the first time.
Okay.
And that's where they put the big tumbler in, like bingo.
Okay.
They put the big tumbler and
Okay.
they pulled out your birth date and put it in 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And I pulled number 252. Otherwise, I would have, if I'd have pulled somewhere, I think they went to about 120 or 125 really quickly.
We've talked to a lot of guys
Yeah.
that did serve and that had gone on to go and you were just a little bit ahead of that.
Yeah, right. I got
Yeah.
I was just sheer luck of the draw. Really, the luck of the draw
Right.
was 252. But
Right.
if I would have pulled a number where I had to go, I would have gone. So my life would have obviously been totally different than it
I know
is
you've
now.
talked about this over the years about you do talk about the guilt that you feel.
I do, which is funny because the Vietnam War ended up splitting our country. And just, the student riots,
Right.
4 dead in Ohio at Kent
Right.
State, and all the burning the selective service buildings and burning their draft cards and going to Canada and doing all those things. So it was our country was a mess. It was a real mess at that time. And then, when you didn't go, everybody's going, oh, you're so lucky, you're so lucky. And at the time, you're thinking, as the war's raging, you're
Right.
going, I didn't want to come back in a body bag. I didn't want to come back without one of my arms or whatever. And
Right.
but I was going to go.
Yeah.
I was just going to go.
Of
It was
course,
just
of
what you
course.
had to do. And so when I pulled the number and then I got out and I started on my career and going and doing things, then all of a sudden you start to run into guys who had come back and
Families
weren't
who were
the same.
affected and
Yeah.
had lost.
Right.
loved
They
ones, yeah.
weren't the same. They had
Yeah.
PTSD. They had all the things you talk
Right.
about back then, which they didn't really know about
Exactly.
then. They really didn't think so.
Yeah.
So ever since that time, there is a little bit of that guilt factor,
Mm-hmm.
and when I do a lot of the charity stuff that I do for them, that makes me feel a little
Mm-hmm. Why?
bit better at that time because somehow I'm trying to help, but I
Right.
still do feel
Yeah.
a little bit of guilt about not serving. And everybody go, why in God's name are you guilty? And I said, I don't know.
You're
can't
not the
tell you.
only one.
I
You're
just-
not the only
yeah,
one.
I can't-
Yeah,
I don't know
we've
how
met a
to-
lot of people who feel the same way you did when they didn't go. So yeah, exactly. So you moved on from
Yeah, so
Villanova.
No, so then I was in Pittsburgh. That was
Okay,
Central.
okay.
So then I decided, well, if I want to do this coaching thing, I got done that year I completed a year at Central. And then I called Danny Laughlin, who was my coach in high school, who had then come to Villanova when I was there to be the offensive coordinator, and he was still there.
Okay.
And I called him on the phone. I said, Danny, you need anybody down here? He said, come on down. We'll find
Yeah.
something for you. So I went down and I coached in Villanova for 4 years, to make a long story short.
yeah.
And I coached the freshmen 1 year. It was before freshmen were eligible. And then did a lot of scouting stuff, coached the wide receivers. And then I coached the offensive backs for a year.
Now,
I
is
never
this-
had a coordinator's job, but I was working towards
Moving
that.
up.
Yeah, I was trying to get there.
So let me ask you a couple of the stories that I do remember.
This will be good.
Yeah. So first off, is this when you would go for your runs on the beach?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, when I was at Villanova, my first year I didn't do too well at Villanova. In fact, to be totally honest with you, when I got done my first semester at Villanova, I had a 1.5. Okay, which put me on probation right away for football. Not only for
Yeah.
school, but for football. And unless you get your academics up over 2.0,
You were
then
not
had to
going to go home and
2.5.
tell your mom and dad that you.
I wasn't going anywhere. So I went to summer school that first semester year, and then after that, I used to go to the Jersey Shore and pick up whatever I could as far as jobs are concerned. Had a couple friends of mine
Jobs.
who were
Jobs, not
lifeguards.
women.
Who were lifeguards? Never think of that. So who were lifeguards at Stone Harbor? Ken and John and Kenny Basacco. They both played football at Villanova as well, and they caught me into a couple guys from Ocean City. And the guys from Ocean City, you'd have guys getting sick, whatever. They'd call me on days, and I would walk the beach and do all that sort of stuff in Ocean City. But I used to, which way to the beach? Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
There's some stories
Okay. All
there.
right. Keep going.
Okay, so the deal is, so I used to get up in the morning, and for football, I'd go
Yeah.
run. I'd get up before the chairs were open and get going and run. So I used to run down from 26th Street down to about 55th Street and then turn around and come back to 26th Street. And there's a little stairway over the dunes. It was made of wood. And I'd walk up over the stairs. I'd put my shoes down beside the staircase and run barefoot in the sand, down in the sand. So I'd do that, and I did it for a lot of mornings. And one morning I
The
came
big
back.
houses are on the beach.
Huge
and-
houses are on the
yeah,
beach,
yeah.
right? All the rich people I didn't know. So the deal was, I'm putting my shoes on one day, and I hear this voice go, young man," and I'm looking around, and I'm going, I don't know where it's coming from. And then she goes, "Young man, up here." So I turn around, look up, and it's Grace Kelly, okay, the Princess of Monaco. Her family was one of the richest families in the Philadelphia area, and they had a giant beachfront house. They had a deck right there where you could see the sunrise. It faced east, and she had a cigarette in one hand. She had a cup of coffee in the other hand. She has a scarf on, and you can tell she has rollers in her hair, and she has on. But you could just, when you saw her, you knew. Yeah. She had no makeup on, and she was
stunning.
just like I couldn't even talk. Right. And so, she goes, why are you, I see you in the morning, and why are you running up and down the beach? And I said, I'm training for football. I go to Villanova. She goes, Villanova, very good school. That's wonderful of you. And what are you studying? And I said, well, I'm a finance major. She said, oh, very good, getting a business and everything. Well, best of luck to you. And I just wondered, I know. For me, it was a 2-hour conversation, and she asked me on a date, right? But the reality of it lasted about 20 seconds.
There you go.
And then she said, oh, well, best of luck to you, and, whatever, goodbye. And that was the only, every time I went down to the beach then, I'd sit down there with, where's Grace? Where's Grace? Where's she gone? So, yeah, I talked to Grace Kelly for
there you go.
About
the only other
30
story
seconds.
that I can remember that you've kind of alluded to is the one where you came home one night after you had been out running around with your friends and left the car running.
Oh, geez, that was when I was coaching. That was after I graduated from Villanova.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's all running together.
Right? Yeah, right. I had maybe one or two. Schaefer's. Schaefer's the one beer to have when you're having more than one in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
So
okay. Well, it's good you couldn't.
I had a few Schaefer's. I was coaching at this time, and my roommate woke
legal.
me up. I was legal. I was over 21, but I shouldn't have been driving a car. But so I came home from wherever the hell I was. I can't remember where I was. And my roommate, Bill McDonald, who is, God bless him, has passed. He played football with me as well. And in fact, he was from, where was he from? He was in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. So he comes, he starts banging on my door in my bedroom. He goes, Pudgy, wake up. I go, wow, what? He said, Pudgy, come here. I said, okay, what's the deal? He said, look. And I said, look at what? And here are my clothes. Okay, I got my shoes are at the door. And my pants are halfway through the room, and my underwear's right at my door. Okay? And he goes, you haven't seen anything yet? He opens the door to my apartment, and we lived on the second floor. Down the stairs are my shirt, my T-shirt, my tie, my sport coat. He said, it's not the best part. That's not the best part. You ready?
Oh, no.
I said, wait, what? He goes outside, points at my car. Car door's open. Okay? Keys are in the car. Car is still on. It had run out of gas. I'd left the car on. That was the last time I ever did anything.
I was just going to say,
like
yes, exactly.
Anything like that.
Oh,
anything
okay.
like that.
Okay. So we move forward
that was
there.
not, that was good. These, we're peeling away the onion layers here. Boy.
Well, you already think you're getting into heaven because the Pope's from
Well,
Villanova.
he graduated from Villanova,
right,
yeah.
Exactly. But,
thank you, Father.
This is
bless me.
This is
Forgive
where
me my
you're
sins.
telling all.
Yes, right. I am sort of telling all. Yeah, I was not. I was sort of a wild child, so we could leave it at that. Yeah.
But that's going through those times, and it was rough times there. You decided to jump right into the.
Yeah, well, I coached there for 4 years at Villanova, but there was something about it I didn't like that either. I wish I could go back to my 25-year-old self or 26-year-old self, because every coach on that staff ended up, Jim Bates ended up being a long-time offensive line coach in the NFL. Freddie O'Connor was the interim head coach of San Francisco 49ers at one time.
Yeah.
Danny Laughlin went to Yonkers Raceway and worked for the Rooney family in horse racing. Timmy Rooney, a really good friend of mine, ended up being a long time. He was a general manager of the Detroit Lions and the general manager of the New York Giants.
You just saw him recently, didn't you?
Just saw Timmy recently, yeah. And Jack Bashowski became one of the head talent scouts for Blesto back in the day for the Bears, Lions, Eagles, Steelers talent organization. And so I had all these connections, but I just didn't. It just wasn't for me. So we had a the college football yearly college football coaches conference was in San Francisco that year, and the school paid for us all to go. So we all went, and all those guys were down there looking for new jobs.
Right.
I went out and explored the city of San Francisco and fell in love. So I said, well, whatever I do, I'm going to try to come back here. And two of the guys who had done the play-by-play and color commentary for Villanova football were two insurance salesmen. And I said, I'd really like to get into some other sort of, but stay in sports. I said, we think you'd be great in broadcasting. Why don't you could do games or whatever. So I'm thinking, maybe I could. And they said, the only thing we will tell you is you probably will need at least some journalism credits or to get a journalism degree. And I had none. I had zero at Villanova.
Now, wait a minute.
I wasn't even thinking about this.
But I think that you should have considered a career in radio into, staying in Pittsburgh and what's Porky Chedwick?
Oh, Porky. Boss sauce with the hot sauce, your platter pushing papa, making your knees freeze, your liver shiver, and your bladder splatter. Put a little more glide in your stride on Saturday night. See, I thought I had
you
it.
were a natural.
I was going to be
should have. Yes, you should have been. You.
That's the only line
Jack.
I had. That's the only line I ever had. Okay, was Porky. Yeah, he was great. So and Bill Burns was there. Bill Burns, for all of you journalism students out there who are listening to this, Bill Burns was the original anchor man. Okay, he was KDKA TV in Pittsburgh, first television over-the-air television station, and he was like the original anchor man. His son was a very good friend of mine, Mike Burns, and he played football at South Hills Catholic. My cousin went to South Hills, and I got to know Mike through my cousin Bobby. Right. And so I got to meet him. I met Bill Burns. Yeah. Every time we came home, Mike was smarter than I was. He went to Princeton. And so every time we came home, we'd meet his dad in downtown Pittsburgh at Stouffer's restaurant in downtown Pittsburgh and lunch with him. And it was great. He would bring us in, talk to us, say, hey, you're still thinking about this broadcast? You get, I don't know, this football coaches stuff. You think you ought to be broadcaster. So, I just kept that in the back of my mind. Yeah. So I met these two guys, the insurance guys, who were the play-by-play and color guy, and I decided to maybe go back to school. Now, I am 27 years old for all practical purposes here, okay? So all my friends are, boom. A bunch of my friends found out that I was wanting to get out of coaching. Right away, all the guys that were on Wall Street said, come on up here, come on. We'll get you in here. We'll do this, we'll do that, and the whole thing. I said, that just sounds miserable. That does not sound like something I want to do. So these guys, the guys who were the broadcasters said, Temple's a great school, which is right in downtown Philadelphia. Yeah. Could have gone there. Then he's talking about Syracuse, I think down in Florida somewhere. And then they mentioned San Francisco State. And I had just come back from San Francisco. And I said, San Francisco State, they have a program if you have a degree in another subject, okay, like you do in finance, they'll just put you in school at night in whatever you want to do. Okay. And they have a radio and TV station on campus. I went, that sounds pretty good. So
now, was your sister already there?
My sister was my sister, by the time I decided to go to San Francisco, my sister had left.
Yes.
Okay, but she had lived there for several years and just raved about it. Yeah. I was there over that time, that 3 or 4 day period, and just loved it. It was great. It's not that way anymore, but back then it was one of the greatest cities in the world.
And you lived in a pretty nice little area,
Oh,
too.
yeah, I lived in a great area.
Yeah.
But so I decided to go to San Francisco State and went and applied, and they said, yeah, sure, this is no problem. Your grades are fine. Boom, come on in, do whatever. So so during the day in San Francisco, I lived there, I drove a truck for Wells Fargo Bank. I used to go from branch to branch and pick up the checks that people wrote. I'd take them to the collating station in downtown San Francisco, throw them in the back of a...
Gone are the days where you can count on that check, not
cashing for 3 days.
Exactly.
Cash a check on Friday and it wouldn't come out of your bank account until Tuesday.
Gosh,
no, that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. So I did that and went to school at night. And I was going to do play-by-play. I was going to be a play-by-play guy. That was the whole dream. And I got out of there and started looking for jobs. So my very first job, I leave San Francisco, probably one of the greatest cities in the world, maybe the greatest city in this country at that time. And I moved to Grand Coulee, Washington. Probably 900 people.
Wow.
On the banks of the Columbia River. The Great Grand Coulee Dam backed up
beautiful
Lake Roosevelt.
Area, but
just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I was making $100 a week, working 6 days a week
Is this when you
for
lived
on
in a
air?
yurt?
This was on air, and I lived in a yurt behind a junkyard. I'm not kidding you. It was a round building. It was a clapboard side of the building. Had a door to get in, had a couple windows cut out of the boarding, and when you went, there was a bed in there, and everything was sort of in the round. It was in the round. Well, here was the deal. The bathroom was so small. Okay, if you went in there to take your morning constitutional and sat down, you couldn't close the door.
Oh my!
So you just couldn't close the door.
I'm hoping you were on your own at this point.
I was on my own.
Thank goodness.
I just couldn't close the door. So I'm sitting there, looking at my plight in life, and I'm looking around this room. And I said, "You're making $100 a week," and I made extra money because I went out and did sales. And I did high school football and basketball. So I was just looking around and just going, "Do you have any idea what you've just done? Do you have any idea what you've just done?" And I really didn't, but I was bound and determined to get it done.
Hard-headed.
So I went from there to Lake Chelan, Washington, which is a really beautiful place. It was all apple orchards and cherry trees, and it was just a gorgeous place. It was a resort area. But it was a small town. Went to working 5 days a week there, but I was a disc jockey, and I was still selling time, and I was doing high school play-by-play. I had 2 high schools, one at Chelan and one in Manson. There was 2 high schools there. So I did football and basketball for both schools. One, they didn't play on the same night. One would play on Friday night of football, one would play on Saturday afternoon. Then one would play Friday night and one would play Saturday night in high school basketball. So I was doing that, and I was living a life, I thought. So interim, got married to Jan, and we moved from there to...
Thank goodness you didn't make her live in the yurt.
Yeah, no yurt there. That would have happened quicker than it did. The deal was, so we moved from there to Eureka, California.
Okay.
Somebody who had worked at at the radio station in Chelan moved to Eureka, California. He called me up one day and said, "Hey, are you still interested in doing play-by-play and stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I am." And he said, "Well, I think you may be able to do something at Humboldt State University." And I said, "Okay, all right, that sounds good. Going to move up now. That's great." He said, "You're still going to have to DJ. You won't have to sell anymore."
Porky.
But yeah, I'd be Porky Chadwick. But on the morning drive, I don't think so.
All right.
Okay, so we moved to Eureka, California. My oldest son Garrett was born at Mad River Hospital in Arcata, California, which is the next town down there. And so now you're on your way, and I'm doing some play-by-play stuff, and I'm doing all the radio stuff I'm supposed to do. And one of my friends who I'd met along the way was doing television at the local TV station there, at KVIQ TV. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to move. I'm going to Portland, Oregon to be on TV." And I went, "Oh." I said, "Really? Oh, man, I'm going to miss you," and whatever. He said, "Hey, I think you'd be great on TV." I said, I hadn't even thought about television. I hadn't even given it was KVIQ, by the way. I'll get to KIEM in a minute. It was KVIQ TV, and the market was so small. It's the 113th market in the country. Kansas City's like number 30. So one of the stations was duopoly. They had CBS and ABC. So they could take the best programming from either, and the other was NBC. Okay, so he said, I'm going to leave. I'm going to recommend you for the job. I said, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm doing the play-by-play stuff. He says, "It pays more."
I'm there.
Okay, I'll go interview. So I went, and I guess the rest is history because I went to KVIQ. I was the news anchor, and we had a woman who I anchored news and did sports. She co-anchored and she did the weather.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the two of us were doing dual jobs, right?
Wow.
So did that at KVIQ. Then the station across town came over and said, "We're losing a guy. We'd love you to be over." That's KIEM TV. And we were using 16 millimeter film at KVIQ.
Yeah.
So you had to bring the film back and put it in the bath, and then you had to hot splice it and edit. These kids wouldn't understand today. So the deal is,
you still didn't want to do Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, well, that's never mind. That's a long time
Never
coming.
mind.
But so we go to, so I go to KIEM TV, and this story's going to get real boring, I think. And I'm now just the sports director. I don't have to anchor. And it was great because I got a nice resume together. They also had a mini cam. at that time. So they had videotape,
Yeah,
which we didn't have at the other station. And everybody in the country had videotape at this small market. So did a lot of stuff on videotape or whatever. So push comes to shove, I'm applying to every place in the country to get a better job. And I come down to the final 2 guys in Orlando, Florida. And the news director in Orlando calls me. This is after weeks of waiting.
Yeah.
He calls me and goes, "Hey, Frank, I really got bad news for you." He said, "We hired a guy from Green Bay. He's coming down. He's got more experience with professional teams. And, we're going to be sending him down to Miami, and we got baseball here and doing all this stuff." And I was devastated. I had my bathing suit packed. I was ready to go, right? So and he knows it, and he goes, "Okay, here's the deal." He said, I don't know how to tell you to do this. You can take this with a grain of salt or whatever. He says, "You didn't get this job, but there's a job open in Green Bay."
Hint.
And I went, ding.
Oh.
I went, hey, I didn't even think about that. So so I hung up the phone in Orlando from the Orlando guy. I picked up the phone. I called the news director at WBAY TV in Green Bay.
Okay.
And I say, I'd like to apply for your sports opening at the station. He goes, "We don't have a sports opening." And I said, "Yes, you do." And he went, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because I just finished number 2 to your guy in Orlando, Florida." And so God bless Green Bay.
Outed the guy that had not turned in his resignation.
I sent Green Bay a real quick tape. They didn't even have me in for an interview.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I sent them the same tape I'd sent Orlando, and he called me up and said, "You're hired." So,
there you go.
The dumb part of this is January 1st.
I was just going to say, best time of the year to move to Green Bay.
First day on the air, right? First day on the air, and it's unbelievably cold. So. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, which isn't, the tropics, but it was nothing like this place. So the deal was, I get the job, and I go up there, and it's colder than heck, and I'm bringing Jan and my newborn son to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I've got the station car. This is back in the old days, sitting in the luggage area, right? Yeah. Where you get the luggage off the plane, and the car's running outside. I left the car running. I go inside, grab them.
I wouldn't have gotten out of the car.
We get on the baggage claim.
No, thank you.
Right. We get on baggage claim, and the door opens at baggage claim. I mean, it was okay. And, Jan's going, "Oh, it's okay. This is all right. This place is nice." And all of a sudden, the door opens, and the wind comes in. "Are you trying to kill me and your newborn child?" I mean, oh, God. I'm in trouble. I was always in trouble anyway. But the deal was, I ended up at Green Bay.
Yeah.
Really cool story about Green Bay is we are covering Packers preseason camp in late July, early August of that year. I forget what year that was. That was 1980.
Okay.
Right, 1980. So it was January 1st, 1980. And then it's August 1980. So we're up there covering preseason practice. And I'm walking around with my photog, and we're doing interviews and our station, WBAY, had the preseason games on our air.
Okay.
Paul Horning, a lot of people remember that name, did the radio analysis.
Right.
I'm sorry, TV analysis for our TV station. Max McGee, who basically beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, he did radio analysis.
Wow.
Okay, so I've got Max McGee and Paul Horning. This is unbelievable stuff. So we're at practice, and I'm doing interviews, and this kid keeps coming up and, "Why'd you ask him that question? How come he's got a towel over his shoulder?" He's a high school kid. He's got a towel over his shoulder. And he said, "How come you asked him that?" "Well, how about that? You might want to ask the head coach this.
Get out of here, kid."
I'm going. So I grab my photographer aside and I go, "Hey, who the hell is this little brat?" And he goes, "That's Kevin Harlan. He's Bob Harlan's son, and Bob Harlan's the president of the Green Bay Packers." I turn around and go, "Kev, buddy, what are you doing?" Threw my arm around. "Come along. You want here?
Good to know.
You want to ask some questions? Here, take the
Good to
microphone."
know that he's doing okay.
He's doing.
Yeah.
But you just knew. You just knew when you think about it. He was doing his high school football game sitting in the stands at Premontre High School in Green Bay,
gosh.
De Pere, Wisconsin, just sitting there doing high school play-by-play all by himself up
Yeah.
there with all the stuff on his lap and everything. You just knew.
Clearly,
that
yeah,
kid
he
was
was
gonna make
destined
it,
for
so.
greatness.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I was there for 2 winters, and it was
Too long.
It was brutal. It was the coldest place I've ever been, and we. So I decided. So I'm applying
Mm-hmm.
to other jobs, and my whole thing was to get back to Pittsburgh.
You
or
were heading back
Philadelphia.
that direction.
I wanted to get back to
Yeah,
East
yeah.
Coast where I knew people
Yeah.
and the whole thing. So I was thinking about that the whole time, and I'm applying for jobs everywhere, and I got 2 job offers at the exact same time, one in St. Louis and one in Kansas
Mm-hmm.
City. And I was going to take the St. Louis job, bigger market,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing, right? The TV station in St. Louis was just purchased by another conglomerate of some kind. I think it was a newspaper conglomerate of some kind. And the guy called me up and said, yeah, we're going to hire you, but we have a 90-day freeze. We can't bring you in for 90 days, and then you will be our guy, and we'll do it. So Mike McDonald here at WDAF TV, he was the guy I'd interviewed with down here. He and, God bless him, the general manager, Earl Beal, who was a great guy. But so Mike says, I called Mike and I say, listen, I think I'm going to St. Louis. They have a 90-day freeze, but they're going to hire me in 90 days. And Mike just goes, are you sure they're going to hire you? And I went, man, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I said, well, they said, yeah. He said, are you sure? Do you have it in writing? I said, no. He said, are you sure? I said, I'll take your job.
Okay, all right, all
he
right.
said, because I had no intention
sure.
to stay here anyway. I was going to be here, I was thinking 3 to 5 years. Remember, I'm older. So I'm thinking 3 to 5 years and I'm out. I'll get a job, or at least try to get a job in
Right,
Pittsburgh or Philly or New York. Or this new thing called ESPN. I might try that one.
Who knew?
CNN
Right.
had a big sports deal then at night
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So I was thinking, I'm going. I'm not going to be there that long anyway. So I might as well get started. 90 days is 90 days.
Right.
So I came down to Kansas City, started on April Fool's Day, 1981 here. April Fool's Day, WDAF TV.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
So what was going on in sports in Kansas City when you got to town?
We still had, the first thing I did, I was 4 days later. I was in Houston, Texas, and the Kansas City Kings,
Okay.
NBA, were playing the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference semifinals.
That's when we had a
It
basketball
was
team here.
Cotton Fitzsimmons,
Yeah.
Otis Birdsong,
Yep.
Josie Merriweather, Scott Wedman,
Yeah.
the whole crew, and it was Cotton Fitzsimmons was the coach.
Yeah.
Del Harris was the coach for the Houston Rockets, and it was I'm in Houston. Man, I had just died and gone ahead.
Yeah, it was,
it was
yep,
great.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good deal.
Just good
It was a
time.
good deal.
Right, right. So how long were you at WDAF?
I was a DAF for a long time, from April 1st, 81 till June of 2010.
But don't you say, I've heard you say,
Right in there, yeah.
that was the
30
sweet spot
Oh, it was great
in,
for TV.
in sports, especially
Really,
sports.
For TV. We had a lot of guys in the department. We were working with professional athletes as well. We're coming in, doing it, just getting ready themselves. They were trying
Right.
to look for jobs after
Yeah.
sports at that time.
Yeah.
Steve Busby, all the Royals fans remember him. He did weekends at WDAF TV with me, at our station.
I think that's a lot. Something that a lot of
They
people
don't
don't
do it
know
now.
is that
Well,
a lot of the players back then they weren't making the
No,
kind
they
of
weren't
money they're
making
making these days.
buku
They
money.
had to
No.
have another job, and they
Exactly, yeah.
did. And so a lot of them were doing different
Yeah.
things, and out and about.
Yeah, I worked for
Yeah.
about, I think, 34 years with Channel 4, and then I worked another 7 with KSHB, Channel 41. I worked on Sundays or weekends, and I worked Sundays every Sunday with Jack Harry. I love Jack.
Jack's
I
a
always
teacher.
tell Jack he saved my life because when I was given the brown envelope on my desk, and they tell you to take it or leave it, you start to look at stuff and you just thinking, man, this is over. I'm too young. I've got a lot more to do. And Jack called me up a couple months after that and just said, hey, come on, why don't you come over here and work with me? And we'd been rivals.
Right.
Our entire life.
Right.
We'd been rivals. Friendly rivals.
Friendly
we
rivals,
played golf, but
yes.
when we were on the air, we're trying to
Yeah,
beat each other's
yeah.
brains in. But
Yeah.
he was great. And I went to work and worked weekends with him, and we worked Sundays together, which was so much fun. And then for the final 2 years that I worked, from 15 to 17, I was a sports director there, so I was the main guy at that time. But the business had totally changed.
I know we've
no
talked an
fun
awful
anymore.
lot about the fact that when you were working, there was a different access that you had
to athletes,
to the players and to the coaches, and you had different. You've still got really great relationships with a lot of players, coaches, because you had that one-on-one access.
Yeah, we did.
And I know that you've developed a trust with them as well that speaks volumes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it started, and I keep thinking it started with Bill Moss and Tim Grunhard, but it really started even before that because I was doing stuff. Steve Busby was in there on weekends, and people see that. The other Royals players, like the George Bratts and everybody, they see that a little bit. And then I worked with Jeff Montgomery, and I worked with Brian McRae, and I worked with Mike Boddicker, and I was working with all these people. And then I was working with Bill and Tim, who were NFL players. And I think they could tell you things, and they wouldn't see it on the air. Or they'd do things, they wouldn't see it, and they knew they could trust you.
Yeah.
And they also knew that they had a conduit, that if they wanted to get something out, they could get it out. And that really helped me, because then I was breaking stories.
Right.
And they were giving you, hey, listen, here's the deal. You can use this. Don't tell them where it came from, but here's the deal.
Well, I know back in the day you traveled with the team.
Yeah, we traveled with the team. We traveled with the Chiefs.
How was
big
that?
time. Yeah, it was fun.
I'm not
getting into any of those. I'm not getting
we don't
into
need to get sued.
What happened on the road stays on the road. Okay, that's one of those deals. So, but we had a great time with the team. Yeah, it was craziness. Yeah.
Well, you retired. I know that there's so many stories we could tell, but we've during that time also you have been an avid mountain climber, 14ers.
Yeah, hiker. It's hiker. I don't want to give the wrong impression like I'm, have the carabiners and have the snowshoes on or have the micro spikes or anything like that.
I think there's a lot of things that people maybe don't know about you, but with the 14ers, how many are there total?
There are 58 total in the state of Colorado. There are about 60 Mount Whitney in California and Mount Rainier and a couple of those as well out west.
How many have you completed?
I have completed 31 of the 58. I don't think I'll probably get any new ones, but I am going to try to do at least one more.
Good.
Okay, which is coming up this summer. I'm going to try to do one more, but I'm going to go back and do one that I'm pretty sure I can do.
I know,
because
Lauren,
it's been
your daughter's caught the bug.
She's caught the bug.
Yes,
Yeah,
they've done
has.
quite a few themselves.
And she's gone way beyond me because she does all those marathons and half marathons. And she goes to Glacier National Park and the Moab Desert, and it's crazy.
Well, I think too you've also been a lover of golf.
Oh, I love golf. Yeah, you know what I often tell people, what is it about golf for you? It's the people for me. It's my group. It's the guys. It's people for me, and it's finding golf.
I was just going to say. Now,
we'll get
what
into
is
that
the
for a
goal?
minute. But the deal is, it is the people. It's the guys. The guys tolerate that as well. I do not hold them up.
Yeah.
But I am one of those guys that goes out there and sort of hunts through the bushes a little bit to see what I can find.
A little bit, yeah.
We have a closet full.
Yeah, exactly. You
but
come
I give
home
them
and
back.
Your greatest reward these days is not your handicap.
No.
It's how many golf balls
You'll always ask me, well, how'd you do? And I'll go 72. She'll go, oh my gosh, that's just one over par at Heritage. That's really good. I said, no. I shot 105. I found 72 golf balls. I said, that's the important thing. Okay,
There you
it's nothing
go.
to do with that
Exactly.
score. But it really is the relationships of those guys. And the Heritage Park is great. And Rob Wilkin, the pro, who just went in the Kansas Golf Hall of Fame, that has been just terrific for me.
There's lots of good things that people probably don't quite know about you. That you're a farmer. Gentleman farmer.
I'm not a farmer. I grow tomatoes. Every once in a while I grow tomatoes.
You're proud of your baby tomatoes.
I'm proud of my baby tomatoes,
Yes. And you're riding lawnmower now. Your old farmer Frank.
I like that. Got Lucy, the dog. I got to mention the other kids as well.
Well, of course.
We have Lauren already. She's doing great. She's in banking.
Lisa and Adam and the kids are all here in town.
Lauren's with National Bank Kansas City. Garrett is audiovisual guy, and he's just been doing great. My oldest son, he's good. He's got 2 kids. And
Jameson
then
and
Grant.
Harrison, yeah.
That's Jameson
Harry.
and
Yep.
Harry. They're such great kids, Jameson and Harrison. And then my daughter Lisa, the Beetle.
Yeah.
She's at Frankie and Jules. She's
Right.
helping run the boutique there for the Morgan family. So it's a lot of fun. She's great. And
Family
Isla.
stylist.
Yeah,
There
I
you go.
know. And Isla, her daughter, is wonderful, just cutest little thing ever. And her husband, Adam's a great guy too. So, and Lauren's husband, David's a good
Grant
guy.
and Danielle.
Then Grant and Danielle. Grant's the guy who sort of stays out of the family drama. Smart kid. He's over in Raymore. He's a plumber.
Yep.
If you want him, it's GTB Plumbing.
There you
and
go.
That's
Oh,
Grant
my
Thomas
goodness.
Boal
Shameless
Plumbing.
plug. There you go.
So I'll give that to him too. And he has a daughter, Dakota.
and Jan's still in town. Everybody's here in
Jan's
town.
here, and
yeah.
Dakota's here. She goes to Avila.
Yeah.
And God bless her. She's a great young woman.
Yeah.
And so I am blessed. And Jan's
Yes.
here as well. Everybody
Very
gets
much so.
along.
Very,
We
very,
all get along.
Very much so.
Sort of. Don't ask Jan. But no, I'm only kidding,
Oh, my
Jan.
gosh.
It's just a joke. It's a
That's
joke.
awful.
We all get along.
Yes,
we all
you
get
do.
along.
Yes.
We really do.
Yes.
It's a joke.
But I do think that, most people, and we can all definitely share the pictures and video of you in your pink bunny suit when you surprised
Now that's
your
not.
kids and the
Did
grandkids
you
on
get permission
Easter
to use
morning when you dressed up like a bunny and delivered Easter baskets to all of your kids and your grandkids.
that? Make sure that shot.
I don't
from the
know if they
chest
were
up.
surprised or scared.
Make sure that
You're-
shot from the chest
you're
up.
not a very
okay?
attractive bunny.
Don't give me a full body on that one. Okay, that will get interesting.
I think that was pretty good. That was pretty good. One of the questions
been
that
Santa.
I had was somebody said, "Who's your favorite kid?" But
Depends on the day.
I was just going to say yes. You'll play that.
You're
one
the
for all
same
it's
way?
worth,
You
but
got those five
there you go.
beautiful
well,
children?
Yes, I'm
You
very
do?
blessed myself.
Between the two of us, we have
yes,
10.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we're very blessed.
Brett, yes,
very
you're
blessed.
still one of us.
Yes,
My
yes.
good son. Yeah.
I want to just ask you a couple of questions
Yeah,
because
sure.
you thought you were all done in 2017, and you were going to just ride off into the sunset,
I was
play
hoping.
golf, and read voraciously.
Spend a month or two in
and-
Colorado.
Yeah.
Climb a lot more mountains. Yeah. All those things.
And what happened?
And then you, in your infinite wisdom, the deal is we would go to
Rest of
a
the
lot
story.
of events, and I'd be emceeing or whatever, or we'd just be at an event, and I'd know people over here, and we'd be together and do some, and then Sarah would know some people over here, and then we'd end up splitting apart or whatever. She'd be talking to people, and it was, you can tell the story because I was not there when it happened. I mean, I was at the event, but I wasn't with you when it happened. You went up and you started talking to Bobby Bell,
Well,
the
there
one and
were-
only, who we've had on the podcast, by the
We
way.
have.
Another shameless
What a
plug.
dear.
Yeah.
And
he's
is
a wonderful man.
Wonderful. And what a story he has. But he, I got to know him and things. And I said, after all of, what he had
happened to you?
told me, I said, Bobby, you're still here. You could go anywhere in the world and you're still here in Kansas City and things. And I said, why? And he was, there's just something about Kansas City. And I thought, wow. I heard that over and over and over. And I kept telling you, there's something there. And you're the one to tell it. You're the one to tell it. And you kept saying, no, I'm not. I'm not.
I didn't think I was, only from this standpoint. I know I have the journalism background, okay, and broadcast background or whatever. But the deal was, I said, as soon as you put my name to it, they're going to think it's just another sports podcast.
Right.
And there are a lot of those. And
I think
They
you've
were
shown
everywhere.
yourself to be.
the
a
deal
different
was, I
person,
just
right.
thought they see it and they're going to think it's sports. And you started, your original idea was 2018, and we didn't start this till 23. So I was dragging my feet, dragging my feet. Just didn't think kept telling you, you can find somebody. I'll get somebody else I know in the business that's well known that can do this
Right.
for you as well, and I'll just ride off into the sunset. But
And now
you said you got to
what
do
is
it, and I said, fine.
110
Whatever they
episodes
are,
later.
I'm not sure.
I think you
Yeah.
got this.
I it's really been
A
wonderful for me.
couple of things I was going to ask you. I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to say, tell me, what's changed from the first episode that you did here to now?
I let people talk. I would jump in. The one thing I do a lot of, because there's a lot of subjects here I'm not familiar with, I do a lot of research on these people.
You sure do.
And I go back. And when you do all that research, you think, well, I want to get it out. And the person will start talking about something, and they'll be in a train of thought. And they'll be talking, this happened early on. They'll be in a train of thought, and I would interrupt them with a fact that I found. thinking, see,
Yeah.
I know, I did some research, stuff. And then they'd lose their train of thought, and that'd be the end of that
Yeah.
answer when I could have gotten something more.
Right.
So that has changed for me as well, where I don't interrupt. And I'm doing long form now.
Yeah.
Which I'd never done before. I'd ask a question, get the answer, ask a question, get the answer, go to the next guy, ask a question, get the answer. Now it's, it's about their life. It's
Right.
about liberty, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that. So it's very different. And I've learned and I've grown, I think, doing this, and it's been a great deal for me because of my mental health as well.
I was just going to ask you, what have you learned?
Yeah.
Just yourself personally.
Yeah, I really to watch my friends at my age slowly go downhill. A lot of them don't talk to a lot of people. They don't have a lot of interaction with other people. Sometimes they're all by themselves all day. And I learned that this got me into the research. It's got me into going one-on-one.
You spend about 2 days
with people. Yeah, on everybody.
on
Yeah.
each guest that you
bet.
research.
And it just gets me. It just keeps me going mentally, and that keeps you going physically
Right,
because you want to stay active as well, so you can have the energy to do this.
I'm thinking, if you had your idea of who you'd like to talk to, who you'd like to have sitting in, that chair. Not this one.
Over here?
Because I'm not staying in this chair.
Yeah, we've already hit a lot of markers at this point.
Oh, yeah.
We still have to get more of the big slick people in, of course. Jason Sudeikis, Rob Riggle, and, just the Eric Stone Street. We've had Heidi Gardner in. So, to do, Paul Rudd, et cetera, to get them in because they're all Kansas City people. You could say some other people, you could whatever. If you have somebody that might be from Texas or they might be from California or wherever, somewhere different. But those people, and there are tons of others out there that we have on our list, in our silos, that we really want to get on.
And it's interesting because as I've watched this and as I've watched you talking to people and things, when you go into it and you're talking to them, I see you deeply moved in some of these episodes. I see you deeply, deeply touched. Who has really kind of been some of those people that you've talked to that really kind of touched?
Really, Ann Peterson. She lost her son as well. We lost Brett as well, and she lost hers. And we, it's a fraternity or sorority, whatever. We don't want you to join. Okay, we don't want any more members.
No.
We don't want you to lose kids. These days, though, it's just an unbelievable epidemic of the suicides and drug overdoses and stuff. Stuff we didn't, when I went to high school and all the way through college, I never knew one person who committed suicide.
Right.
Ever. Now, after Vietnam, some people came back and just life wasn't worth living anymore. And yes, absolutely. Extenuating circumstance there. But to be a young kid in middle school or high school or whatever, to be that depressed and that just giving up type situation, it's unfathomable to me because of all the great things, even though some of them were a little illegal with the cars and the garages. But
I think
just
some
the
of
idea
this has been your own therapy, a way that you've been able to process a lot of things that have gone on in your life.
Yeah, right. And when I talked to Adam Hamilton from Church of the Resurrection, you talk about forgiveness and being forgiven and hoping, and I always had said, and I say it all the time, even when I'm doing public speaking or I'm out, that if you have an issue, you have it with, a parent, grandparent, sibling, child, spouse, ex-spouse, cousin, uncle, friend, whatever, just go to them and just say, hey, let's get this resolved or whatever. At least reach out and try. Yeah. And if they come back and say no or whatever, at least you have it in the back of your mind that you tried to get it resolved. Right. And
life's too short.
Just didn't work.
Do it anyhow.
Yeah, like with Brett, we had many issues when he was a young kid, but we got it resolved before he died. And I just don't know where I'd be mentally if that hadn't happened, if we hadn't gotten it resolved. So. It was tough when it happened. He did not commit suicide or overdose. He had an automobile accident. We think he had a medical problem. He did have a stroke, either right then when it happened or very shortly after it happened, and that was it was hard. Yeah, especially when he's on life support.
Right. And there have been so many people that have come and opened up to you now that you have opened up and have shared their stories with you. And I think that's been a very cathartic thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, and people also think that nothing ever happens to
right.
like someone who's been on TV
right.
or some sports star or whatever. But I think they're getting more and more of a feeling it happens to everybody. Yeah. Everybody has issues every day. You know?
I know in watching you and watching what you've done here and the process that you go through and when you talk to people and the things that you share, you've opened up and shared a lot of yourself and shown a lot to a lot of your viewers over the years who you are now, who you always have been.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful.
Some of these I'm going to wish I could put back into undercovers or somewhere.
Nah, it's already out. It's good. It's good. But no more crying.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Huh? Yeah, I know. I don't want to start crying. I know. I've been good today. I'm surprised Ben didn't give me a box of tissues.
Ben left.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. No, he's getting all this. He's writing the good parts down. Okay, the cars,
no, trust me. There were a lot of questions that I did not ask you that they had asked me to. And so we'll not go there. But that's okay.
Yeah. And God bless you too. Okay, because you're the one that just kept pushing and pushing and pushing.
I'm sorry. Are you saying nagging?
Okay, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing some more, right to the edge of the cliff, and
turn his mic off, Mike.
And then I finally said, okay, we'll give it a shot and we'll see what we're going to do, and just let everybody know that they can join in as well. We're a 501c3, so if you want to get on board, we'd love to have you.
This is the way that we give back.
Yeah, it is. This is definitely the way we give back.
And you are definitely giving of yourself and giving your talent back to the city that we both love so much.
Yeah, because I have several offers during the time on TV. This not being braggadocious, just being time on TV here or whatever to go to another market. Both Pittsburgh and Philadelphia reached out, and they. And I turned them down.
I got to ask you a question because this is
all right.
One more story.
One more story, yeah.
One more story.
Every time somebody reached out to me, and there were others besides Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, but every time I used to get a hold of my old buddy Craig Roberts, who was the sports director at the NBC affiliate in Houston. And we used to exchange tape all the time, okay? Whether it be Royal situation or the old Oilers and the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever, and we'd exchange tapes. And then we got to be friends. We met on the road a few times, and NCAA basketball tournaments, all kinds of stuff. So got to be a really, really good friend with him. And I'd always call him on the phone and say, Craig, here's the deal. WXXX has just offered me a job, it's going to be more money. It's this, that, and the other thing, it's a 3-year contract or whatever. And he goes, are you happy there? I said, yeah. And he went, why would you ever leave? He said, are the people?
Which leads me to my last question, and that is, that's what this is all about, is Kansas City. Yeah. What is that thing that's for you about Kansas City?
Yeah, just like I told you, I think you get a pretty good indication of who I am. But it's the people. It really is people. Good people. Just no pretentiousness. Just good, solid, go to them and just say, hey, and they talk to you or whatever. And they're just the people are the best, and it's a very, very. I think it's one of the most philanthropic cities in the country per capita. It's just an incredible place, and the people we've met, and some of those people could just say no to you and just go, I'm not going to go on your podcast. I'm so and so,
and they could have gone anywhere in the world, but they didn't.
Absolutely, and they're all here, and I think they all realize.
And why is that?
What we're trying to do. Because there's just something about Kansas City.
You stole my line. You're not supposed to do that.
You don't get any lines in this. You've already had enough lines.
Okay. The last thing I'll say to you is, so, in the end, I was...
Right.
Thank you very much. I had to say that. And it is on tape.
Edit.
And I will say that Kansas City will always be the star of the show, but I am so glad that you're here. And I'm so glad that I got the chance to show you off to the city as well
Yeah.
and show them who you really are and the fact that you're a tomato farmer and
Yeah. Thanks for believing
Spring
in
Hill.
me. That's all. Just thanks for believing
I
in
do.
me, kid. Yeah.
And you know what? We
Yeah.
both said many, many times, there's just something about Kansas
City.
There's Just Something About Kansas City is a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization with the mission of documenting the stories that have built our city to inspire and educate generations to come. Our work is being made possible by the generous support of local partners like you. You can help us share these stories by becoming a sponsor today. Visit somethingaboutKC.org to learn more.